on 4th of May 1990, the then Parliament of Latvia adopted a declaration for restoring independence of Latvia. Of that Latvia, which initially was proclaimed in 1918, but then starting from 1940 was occupied by the Soviet Union. From the philosophical perspective, this was a sort of establishment of historical truth. Basically, this was also giving an opportunity for society to take their own decisions for the future of people, decisions for the future of the nation. And also symbolically, it was stepping up back to the path towards democracy, freedom, and prosperity for the country. I think one of the elements for success was ability for politicians, for political parties already in the beginning of 90s to agree on the way forward, on the strategic aim towards integration into Euro-Atlantic structures. So already in 1992, when it comes to the foreign policy, there was such a strategic decision taken, and in the implementation of this decision, so it was rather straightforward road towards it. Of course, another advantage or perhaps a challenge was the adjustment of our national legislation before accession to the European Union in 2004, so that values, freedoms, and standards of Europe were included in the legislative acts. So it was perhaps challenging, but very worthwhile process, so that in 2004 we were indeed ready to join and ready to go forward already as a full-fledged member state. If we take sort of a general perspective, then it was membership to the union, which is based on democratic values and principles. And so it was also translated to the policies of the state, and basically it was giving input to the everyday life of basically every citizen. But when it comes to the practical advantages, of course, let me first mention four freedoms of movements. Movement of people, movement of services, movement of goods, and also movement of finances. Every citizen can travel freely without unnecessary formalities over the borders within the Schengen area. Citizens can also work freely and with no formalities in another EU country. Companies can, of course, do their business with companies in another EU state within the frame of single market, also without unnecessary additional formalities or burdens. Another advantage, of course, is the single currency, euro. You probably will agree that it is very easy if you travel to another country and you don't have to go to the currency exchange point, change your money, or pay commissions when paying your bills by the banking card. So these are the first obvious advantages of being indeed a member and having these freedoms, having these opportunities. Actually, very pleased to acknowledge the fact that this transfer of experience, transfer of practices, is already well ongoing. Of course, on the way towards the European integration, there have been challenges for us. We have made good successes, but also indeed some mistakes. And what is very good, and what I see from colleagues from different institutions or non-governmental sector in Latvia, that everyone is willing to transfer this knowledge, transfer this experience and practice to partner countries, to Moldova as well. And I'm also happy to realize that Moldovan partners are also very willing to listen and to discuss these practices. So this is our practical contribution, our share towards Moldova's European path. Bilateral cooperation is in fact very good between both countries, Latvia and Moldova. You know, there are quite many similarities between both countries. We can say that we have comparatively equal size of the states, or more or less equal number of inhabitants, and of course we share also a part of common history. Bilaterally, political dialogue is very good, especially on the level of foreign ministers. There had been exchange of visits recently. There had been also phone calls between the ministers recently. Economically, I'm glad to acknowledge that commercial cooperation and foreign trade between both countries is with increasing tendency, around 10% each year, and I hope that this continues. Particularly glad I am about the regional cooperation. There is around 30 agreements between different regions or cities of both countries, Latvia and Moldova, and this is a good base how to move forward. Especially, I want to underline the development cooperation of Latvia. Already since 2005, Moldova is one of our priority countries, beneficiaries for our development cooperation, and many projects have been implemented in the area of good governance, supporting small and medium enterprises. And one which I like the most is the service dog training for the border police in Moldova. And that system actually is established on the basis of Latvian example, having also the first dogs imported from Latvia. So we continue in this way, and also this year, and actually as we speak, the grant competition for joint projects in this development cooperation assistance is ongoing, and we have two priorities this year. This is the assistance to the health sector here in Moldova, and also help with dealing with socio-economic consequences of the coronavirus crisis. So I hope for good results there. I think that it is important to acknowledge that the long-standing commitment of the European Union, and of course also of Latvia as the member state of European Union, is to improving living standards for the people of Moldova. Key here is the association agreement between EU and Moldova, which in fact is the basis for reform commitments by Moldovan authorities in different areas, including also judiciary, fight against corruption or vested interests, or the politicization of state institutions. It is very important to note that reforms are crucial in order to deliver expectations for people in Moldova. So this is done for people here. Latvia's experience shows, in fact, the need for the whole of government approach. And crucial is also the cooperation between the public institutions from one side and non-governmental sector from the other side in countering disinformation. NGO sector in Latvia, civil society, is quite an active one, and in fact Latvia hosts one NGO which is called Baltic Center for Media Excellence, and they have applied new and innovative approaches to strengthen both the quality of journalism and also the media literacy of the society. And so we are happy to work with them very closely also as the embassy. Baltic Media Center of Excellence is active both in Baltic states but also in the EU Eastern neighborhood countries, including Moldova. We have cooperated with them for the last 2 years in organizing large conferences in Moldova with topics like countering disinformation or strengthening strategic communications, where we aimed at first raising awareness of these challenges or these phenomena, but secondly also trying to bring together different stakeholders, public institutions, academia, and non-governmental sector. And so this was a relative success, and we'll try to explore also further activities in this area. In fact, the activities in countering disinformation or countering manipulation with information actually are aimed for strengthening resilience of society. And we in Latvia feel that our approach, our experiences can be well transferred to Moldova as well. And so this is what we are aiming for, and this is what we are doing by these activities. Indeed, Europe Day, which we celebrate on 9th of May, is devoted for the peace and unity in Europe. But more broadly, it is devoted also to common values, to shared rights and freedoms. My own country, Latvia, during last 30 years has gone quite a long way from restoring independence to integrating fully into European Union to becoming a prosperous and modern state. And we as Latvia fully support Moldova's European path, because we think that this is really for the full benefit of Moldovan people. Latvia is part of Europe, and Moldova is part of Europe. So Latvia stands with Moldova. Also, European Union stands with Moldova, also in these challenging times. And let's remember that together we are definitely stronger.